And I'm Sean.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom, happy Friday. Thanks for everyone who is coming online to join us for this week's Anything Goes program. And for dealing with us last week, the technical challenges that we had last week, for those who I think had to view it through my own personal Facebook or however that happened last week. But thanks for everyone sticking with us.
Eric, did you hear from any random friends last week that they saw you online?
I did. There was multiple comments of most of them flattering and funny. So.
That's very funny.
But it's good to be back on our Temple Israel Facebook page.
Yes, where we're supposed to be.
Exactly.
Feel free to say hello in the comments so we can greet you. We've got our reliable viewer, Jay Al-Hadif. Hi, Jay. Thanks for joining us.
Good to have you with us again.
Here we are in mid-October. The weeks and months seem to keep flying by, as we're saying.
Yeah, the whole, I think, right from August, from that whole period of getting ready, I know for us and working here at the synagogue, that getting the preparation for the high holidays, and then it's just a whoosh of activity until, so now it's, that time flew by, and now we're moving on to the next and the regular items of our yearly program that happens.
Right,
so.
Right. Yeah, they say that the Hebrew month of Cheshvan is the Jewish professional's favorite month because it's a holiday. It's a month that has no Jewish holidays in it. So catch our breath.
Catch our breath. Yeah, yes. Whether it's a favorite holiday, favorite month, or just a holiday, a holiday for us from right from that type of programming.
Yeah. Now we can get a little bit more into the regular routine of, our weekly Shabbat services and our Joys of Jewish Learning programs and our Torah Center programs. Everything can kind of be a little bit more, as normal as possible during the pandemic.
Right. It's strange, right? You feel like you can't even use the word normal because it's not normal. It's the new normal, or the normal still isn't fit.
Right. Right.
I keep saying it's just bizarre. It's just odd. Those are all the words that I use to describe. Yeah.
So one of our favorite things of this new normal is our Anything Goes program, and Eric and I really love having the chance to visit with congregants and get to know people better. There are a lot of people in our community, Eric, who we've interacted with over the years, but we haven't had those opportunities to have longer conversations. So it's been a real treat for me to get to know people and just find out a little bit more about their backgrounds and what's motivating them during this time.
Yeah, I think even people who you think you knew, right? I know last week with Valerie Condon, it's so refreshing, so great to hear just more intimate details about what people's motivations, how they spend their time, how they got there, where they are in life.
Right.
It's all been really interesting. Yeah. I know also what has been nice. I know the program that we did, for those of you who signed up and were able to participate in having the Torahs come to you last weekend, last Sunday, when Sharon and myself and Rabbi Fox and Kenner Haas brought the Torahs around to several families in our community and to do a Simchat Torah trek, Hakafah. We're giving people a chance to hold the Torahs and dance with the Torahs. I know just getting out and seeing people, even with masks, even at a distance, and minding all the protocols, it was still so great just being out and seeing people.
It was so fun. And for any of our viewers, if you have not seen any of the pictures on our Facebook page, I mean, how could you have missed them? I've been posting them all week, but but check them out. Just scroll down on our Facebook page. You can see, I think there are 3 or 4 posts about our mobile hakafa, and we have so much fun. And we also were streaming our each stop live on Facebook, so that was fun. It was a way to bring in a lot of our congregants to share the experience with us.
I know it was a chance for many of our congregants had never met the rabbi in person. You know, that I don't know who I was talking with today, where I think I was talking with Amy and your mom today, and the fact that we met people where you see people online and you don't know how tall they are. You don't know what they look like from below, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, now I have a real sense of you're a human being. You look like this. You're
so funny. Yeah, I know. At one point when we were with some families and there were several children there, you know, I just called out to the children, this is Rabbi Fox. I never met him.
But,
yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to have more opportunities in the future where we can get little groups together and mind the social distancing and all the things that we're supposed to do, but at the same time allowing for that human non-computer connection
to
happen.
Right. Yeah, and I would say, you know, to our members that are watching us, you know, this afternoon, if you have suggestions for us about ways that we can, you know, do small programs that would be in person and safe, we'd love to hear from you. We are just starting those conversations now as a staff and as a lay leadership about how we can do that safely, and, you know, still understanding the importance of getting people in the same physical, you know, space. So let us know.
Yeah, right now we're still under the guidelines of Los Angeles County about restrictions on building. And even after those are lifted, even hopefully when the county moves from what's considered purple right now to red, which to me is always a bizarre thing, that red is actually less than purple. But I guess if you're talking the rainbow, then it goes red. Well, anyway. But anyway, if we move to red, then it does allow us to do some other things in person here. But whether or not, we still have to be really mindful of how to do those safely and how to do those respectful of everyone and being able to connect with everyone we want to connect with.
Right.
As we continue to do our programs. So, but we will keep the community informed of all of that.
Sure, yeah.
And it's been a busy week, as we said. Also, high holidays are done, and we've kicked off our. You know, Sharon said it's you know, there's no holidays, so it's slow for us, but it's not. Yeah, that's a falsehood. Sharon knows. I mean, our Joys of Jewish Learning really kicked into gear this week. We had our first speaker. Our first guest speaker, and hopefully people were able to join us on Zoom. Sharon, you want to give people a little bit of a sense of what that was?
Yeah, it was really outstanding. We had the opportunity to learn from Dr. Jill Baker, who is the new superintendent for Long Beach Unified School District. She was appointed to this position just this past August, so she's brand new to the position, had served as the deputy superintendent for several years leading up to that. And Dr. Baker, she's been with the district, I think she said, for 22 years, as first a teacher and then a principal, and then working as an administrator for the district. And it was just so amazing. She is an incredible leader with a real vision for our city and our district. You know, Long Beach Unified, I think, has like 68,000 students in its care. So it's, you know, one of the largest school districts really in the country. And it's won multiple prizes and recognitions over the years. So it was a real treat to have her as we really continue to try to build bridges between us and our community. So, yeah, we did record it, so we're hoping to be able to send it out to people. I know that there's been some interest in that, so we'll hopefully get that link out to people pretty soon.
Yeah, and we'll post it. We'll both post it eventually on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and hopefully people have been enjoying the other videos that we've been hosting as well. And I know particularly, I mean, how topical to have the superintendent with us, as so many of us are dealing with the school systems and what remote learning means right now, and how long we expect to have to continue that. And
Right.
Meanwhile, being supportive of our teachers and our families and everyone who's dealing with
Right.
those learning situations.
Mm-hmm.
We have some other JGL programs. We have a movie screening, well, a movie discussion coming up.
Right.
So I think Unstrung Heroes.
Unstrung Heroes. Yeah, it's a really nice movie. It's a little bit older. It's a little bit older movie, but it's about a little boy who experiences some loss and challenges and goes to live with some other family members. It's about family dynamics and mental health and loss. And we will have our conversation facilitated by Lindsay Pruce, who is a licensed psychologist, I believe, and it should be a really great conversation. So we encourage our congregants to watch the movie in advance and then join us next week on Thursday, I believe, for our movie discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the week after that, we've been encouraging people to read the book Memento Park,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're going to have the author for Memento Park joining us the following week for Temple Israel Reads One Book.
Right. Yeah, this is a carryover from last year's program. We were supposed to have the author Mark Sarvis join us last spring in, I don't know, April or May, but due to the pandemic that was postponed, and he's coming now, next week, as Eric said. So lots to look forward to. And if you haven't read the book yet, you've got, what is it, a week or so to, maybe it's 12. I think it's 12. I think it's October 28th. So if you're a fast reader, you can still read it, or feel free to just join us anyway if you're interested in hearing and learning from the author.
Yeah, maybe the audiobook is available. Someone can listen to it if they can. We have that. I know Sisterhood is they're continuing doing programs. There's a Sisterhood Night In where that's coming up, where they used to go out to restaurants. Now they sit, I guess, they eat and schmooze and talk together on Zoom. Sisterhood is bringing in a speaker about medical marijuana. So that's pretty exciting, and there'll be a battle between those who partake in recreational marijuana and medicinal marijuana all at the same time. Yeah. But that's an interesting topic. I'm sure people definitely are curious, and they're going to have an informed speaker who will answer all people's questions. And Sisterhood's also doing a fundraiser, which they're starting to collect items for, and I know we sent out an email about that, and how people can donate. Any donations that go to this Sisterhood event. Sisterhood's really good about funding the temple programs and giving back, and so a donation to the Sisterhood is really on top of it a donation to the temple as well. Really supports us. So encourage people to read those emails, donate to Sisterhood, to their fundraising causes, and participate in the Sisterhood events.
Yeah, it should be great. I know they've got some fun things planned coming up.
Yeah. And as well, for those out there who have recommended a guest for our show, we take those recommendations seriously. Our last few guests have actually have come as recommendations. People have emailed us and they said, "Hey, how about this person?" And they said, we go, "That's a great idea." And usually, I don't think we've been turned down yet. So people don't know what they're getting into, which is a good thing. Then maybe after they've already said yes, and then they go back and watch the show, maybe they have second thoughts. But nobody's once they've agreed has decided to back out. So Sharon and I are fortunate that way, and this week our guest is one of those recommendations. So
yeah. So if any of you have another suggestion of a guest that we interview here on Anything Goes, please let Eric or me know. We would love to hear your ideas.
Do you know how many people we have online right now joining us?
We have 16 people at the moment, so that's
All right.
great. And again, feel free to say hello in the chat. I know we've got Ruth Cooperman here and Bill Shafton who have said hello. So thanks for joining us. Shabbat Shalom.
And as we're going to bring Linda Fox on in just a second, but if any questions come up as well during the discussion, during the interview, please also feel free to post those in the chat, and we'll make sure to put in some time to ask Linda some questions. On that note, should we bring Linda in?
Let's do it. All right, here we go.
There she is.
Yay. Hi,
Hi, Linda.
Linda.
Hello. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Well, for our audience out there, I'm going to just give a brief introduction to who you are, and then I'm sure if you want to add anything, you will do so. So for all of our viewers, Linda has a host of degrees, including a PhD, all in Spanish. Her entire 36-year career was at Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne, Indiana, where she was an associate professor of Spanish, and for 18 years, the director of Women's Studies program, which was the first public university campus degree granting program in all of Indiana to offer the BA in Women's Studies. Linda has been the recipient of many awards, the most important of which were Friends of the University Outstanding Teacher Award, Multicultural Studies Faculty Distinguished Service Award, Award for Contributions to Minority and or Disabled Students, Hidden Heroines Award from Fort Wayne, Indiana Women's Bureau, and many years inclusion in Who's Who in American Education and Who's Who Among American Teachers. Linda moved to the West Coast in 2008, and she has been very involved in the NCJW, National Council of Jewish Women, of which she is an immediate past president and served in many other board positions, and for which she has received the Women of Vision Award and the Hannah G. Solomon Award. Linda was one of 3 nationally appointed state policy advocates for the NCJW for California from 2014 to 2017. And she is a docent at the Museum of Latin American Art in Long Beach since 2008. Welcome, Linda Fox.
Thank you.
Hey, we're so glad you're here, Linda.
And the proud mother of 2 sons and 3 grandchildren. And I shared with you that the oldest one is now driving, which gives me the willies.
Well, hopefully the roads are a little clearer now. So, with, you know, and where is that grandchild and that son living?
My grandchildren are in Arizona, are in Phoenix with their parents, and my son there is a mental health clinic director. He's a clinical director, and my other son is a Grammy-nominated composer, arranger, educator, clinician. In a jazz program in Iowa.
Interesting. Very nice.
So, how are you doing? We usually start off by, you know, it's such odd times, and we've all been sort of forced into figuring things out and doing a lot of things from home. How are you hanging in there with the last few months have been?
Well, you know, it's a mixed bag, isn't it? For all of us. And my back doesn't like it too well because I'm Zooming way too many hours in a row. I'm taking 3 classes through Ali Osher at UCLA. But there's a bright side to that. I don't have to drive up there in the traffic. I can Zoom it, and so there is a plus with that. Because my younger sister is the most technical of all of us, she is a Zoom master, and we Zoom every Sunday as a family. And so I get to see my relatives in Texas and my sons in when they can from Iowa and Arizona. And the ones here in California, even the ones here in Southern California, you know, we've always been so busy. We don't see each other, let's say, every week. We're lucky if we can get together every month, and we get to see each other this way. So it's a mixed bag. I'm missing seeing people in the flesh. I have to say that.
Yeah, Sharon and I were just talking about that too. Just how even when we it was so nice to have that change when we went around with the Torahs to just be in people's presence, right? Instead of this Zoom meetings and Zoom discussions, which is great that we could do it, but it's not the same. People crave that intimacy that's different. Those, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, services at Temple Israel during the High Holy Days were wonderful. You know, I mean, truly amazing that you all did what you did. But you have that little feeling of being a little distanced, right?
Sure.
We all long for sitting next to somebody, especially those of us who live alone.
Right.
Sure, the hugs from friends and family. I mean, how many of us miss those? Just that.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah. So Linda, you know, I mean, now that you've been at home, you know, like the rest of us for several months now, we know that you are under regular conditions, very busy. I'm sure you remain busy, but can you tell us a little bit about your volunteer work since you've moved to California? Here you went from having a very busy academic career to now taking on lots of volunteer responsibilities. We'd love to hear, you know, about some of your favorite volunteer efforts and perhaps how those have shifted over the pandemic.
Well, you know, I was busy back in Indiana because I directed women's studies and I was a language professor. So I had a double service load, even out in the community. And then, as I shared with you earlier, I also taught Sunday school for 10 years, the Reformed congregation. So I did stay very busy, but I chose to move here because my sisters are here, and I felt the need to look for NCJW. I knew of the organization, but we didn't have a section in Indiana at that time. And so I came and I looked for it because I wanted to meld better my feminist ideals with activism, but also my Judaism. And that wasn't so easy in the place I was living. And so I did look for it, and I have been in many different positions in the 13 years I'm here, twice president, not just once.
They got you again.
And
that's the problem with doing a good job at something.
Oh, membership programs, you name it.
I just said countless. I think when I gave you listed them all to me, and I was like, that is far too many. You know, I just can we say all of the positions that probably
I packed them in. You know, packed them in. But probably one of the most extraordinary experiences is the 3 years I spent as state policy advocate. And yes, I've always been a politically minded person, particularly with issues revolving minorities and obviously anti-Semitism, also women's issues, and I started to teach about Latin American women in 1974. That was really early on.
Wow, yeah.
And in fact, I changed my academic publishing to actually go toward Latin America rather than Spain, because I love the Chicana writers. And so I switched all of that. And when I got here, I got involved in NCJW, and I was asked to serve as a co-state policy advocate for NCJW California. And there were, at the time, 3 of us. And lo and behold, I had never really gotten into the legislative area,
Mhm.
but the 3 years really did give me that experience. However, they made me the communicator. So I did all the action alerts. I did all the, all of that. And I said, you're talking about somebody who, has minimal. I always had secretaries. I didn't have to worry about all that technical stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I was the communicator for them, and they pound the legislative floors. One is an attorney, retired attorney, and the other one has a PhD in higher education.
Mhm.
And so they are the boots on the ground. And I was here in Long Beach doing the action alerts. And every year we plan a lobby day. We pick certain bills that we think are going to have a chance to be winners.
Mhm.
And we meet and hear from experts, and then we go meet our representatives in the legislature. And I've done that in Washington for NCJW also on the Hill, but I find going to Sacramento really more to my liking because it's more compact.
Interesting.
And you often get to talk with the representative and not necessarily just the aide, although the aide
Mhm.
know as much and sometimes more
Mhm.
than the representatives. So I did that for 3 years, and I could have continued for another 3, but I chose to come back and help NCJW, and Linda Calderon of blessed memory came back as president. She had been president before, as I had, and I was her executive VP, and we worked as a team for 10 months, and it was really productive.
Yeah,
So
she was really an extraordinary woman.
yeah, I just, I think of her every day. I have items that she gave me. I'm wearing one.
Oh.
And so I channel her. Uh, but I chose to come back and not just dedicate myself to the state because I knew we had to make some modernizing changes. And we
Mhm.
did. And so I told her before she passed, she should be very proud of
Absolutely.
what she accomplished.
Mhm.
So that's the state policy advocate stuff. I still am in touch with the 2 co-state policy advocate women. In fact, one of them it's her birthday today. I've already reached out, and so I've learned a lot. I was not all that much into the legislative,
Mhm.
marches. I mean, all kinds of activism, yeah, but legislation was not on my, I'm on the humanities side,
Mhm.
not on the political science side.
And then you just add it to your resume. And then what was it, perhaps as a child or in your upbringing that motivated you toward an interest in the humanities?
Well, my father, who has been gone since 1983, a long time, told us that education was everything, and he never cared about what we studied, but that we did study. And so my sisters and I haven't counted them up, but I think we have at least a dozen to 14 degrees
Oh
between
my gosh.
us. Um,
Wow.
and
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Virginia during the war. My dad was in the service, and my mom went back to her family in Virginia, so I'm a Southern born.
Mhm.
But we moved to New Jersey when my dad got out, and I grew up in New Jersey. And then I spent my career in the Midwest between Indiana and Wisconsin.
Mhm.
And now I'm out here on the West Coast. So when I do a tour at MOLA, I say I'm a migrant.
And why Spanish? What was it about Spanish that
In high
first?
school, I took 3 languages. I had Latin, French, and Spanish.
Wow.
7 years
Wow.
in 4 years. and I just decided to major in Spanish and minor in French. I just chose it because I was further along, I think. I had years of Spanish before I went to college. And I ended up minoring in secondary education. I thought I would be teaching in high school, but having done my student teaching at Princeton High School, the cream of the crop, I got tired of all the rigmarole and I applied to graduate school immediately my senior year of college. And the rest is history. I ended up, my master's is from IU and my PhD is from University of Wisconsin-Madison. But I was lucky enough to be able to spend a year as a junior in college in Madrid. So,
Sharon also, I don't know if you know, but Sharon spent a year abroad in Spain.
Spain. Yeah, I lived in Alicante, which is in the Costa del Sol near Valencia.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think I'd to Valencia.
Yeah.
Those were the days that it was safe.
And I spent a few days partying in Alicante.
It just became clear to me that I wanted to teach literature, and high school is really not the place. You have some literature, but I decided I really wanted to specialize in language and literature. Obviously, language. I mean, I taught in my college teaching career, my university teaching career. I taught beginners to graduate students. I taught all levels. But my area became Chicana writers.
And then that evolved into also the women's study, or the just from personal, as you were teaching and where your personal interests were taking you.
Yeah.
You started focusing on.
Yeah, I'm a child of the 60s, so I already had those issues in me. But in the early 70s, I started teaching in 1971. I came from graduate school. I did not have my dissertation done, and I had an 18-month-old, and I was teaching 4 courses. Without your finished PhD, you teach more. And somehow I got my dissertation done, and I got involved with a group of teachers, professors who were very interested in putting together something called Women's Studies, which started in the late 60s, actually. But we had the minor in 1976. So I began teaching in the program in 74 about Latin American women, or images of women in those days, images of women in Spanish literature. So I became part of that program, and we stuck with it, and we got the bachelor's degree in 1991. And I had 2 stints as director, so a total of 18 years of my 36 years there. My first job, who knew that
very Jewish numbers.
It was going to be your last job, right? Who knew?
Right.
But I loved it, and I no longer Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. It's Purdue University, Fort Wayne, because Indiana kind of pulled out, except for medical and nursing, and so they're not even in it. Very unusual situation. 2 universities in one physical location, plan buildings, and depending on your major, you got an Indiana degree or a Purdue degree.
Interesting.
And I was an Indiana faculty because I was in humanities. But now it's all Purdue. So my place is no longer. But I loved it because we had non-traditional students before the term existed. So I loved having classrooms with 17 and 18-year-olds alongside 50-year-olds. I think the oldest student I had was in his 70s.
Wow.
So I would pair them together in a language class because then they learned a whole lot more.
Yeah, my daughter is a freshman in college right now. She's taking a class, and she was surprised to see that they weren't all 18-year-olds. She just assumed it's, a 101 class. She assumed they would all be her age. She said, Mom, there are like older people in the class, So it wasn't her expectation.
So I loved it. So I never, I never entertained leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Classes ethnically diverse in Indiana, or was it?
Well, when we first moved there in 1971, I have to say not very. You know that Indiana birthed the Birch Society, and the Wizard was from the KKK was from Indiana. So not very diverse initially. But when I left, 69 different languages were spoken in the public schools.
Wow.
Because when I think of you teaching, images of Latin American women and in Indiana and during this time, it's such an interesting melding of thought and how well that or how controversial maybe it was when you raised the thought of teaching that to that community or at the university, whether there was any pushback on it or whether
I felt like a cultural missionary.
Wow.
I really did, and so I was there to expand my students' minds, and I have to say, I was talking about this with somebody else recently. 36 years, I really only had 2 anti-Semitic experiences in the university from students. But I know there was a lot out there, even, in the general public. I had a friend whose daughter, was asked certain questions, and, so it was out there. And I was asked in an honors seminar, well, you have dual citizenship with Israel. I said, no.
Doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. So I did feel like I was there, to expand minds. And I have to say, I had some very expansive colleagues as well. And so that's why I stayed as long as I did. And I think I made an impact. I still mentor 2 African-American former students who text and call me all the time. Who are in their 40s and 60s now. So yeah. So, and you did want me to also talk a little bit about NTJW's initiative here, and I'll talk about that. You can see if you want to.
You stole my follow-up question, so I was gonna. But yes, go ahead. I do want to know what are you now doing for within NCJW?
Well, I am immediate past president, and I have to say I'm still on the board and still involved with different parts. And one of the things that Deborah Chankin and Janet Rosenblatt are co-chairs of voting and elections for our section. And we chose to go in with NCJW California. There are 6 chapters, sections. We use sections as the term. And we chose to work with Vote Forward, which is a national organization. And they send you template letters and you fill in a paragraph with why you personally vote. And we chose, of course, we're a 501c3, so we're a nonpartisan, so we can't choose. They do have partisan campaigns as well in different states, but we chose nonpartisan, and we chose the state of Florida. because we think it's really important.
It's an important state when it comes to the national
My
election.
parents who retired to Royal Palm Beach would be so proud, because tomorrow I am putting into the mailbox my personal cash that I wrote of 120 letters.
Amazing.
NCGW California has a big celebration Sunday because we did the 6 sections, 12,000 letters.
Oh, kol hakavod, that's amazing.
And nationally, the National heard of us and said, well, we want to do it too. So the other state sections are doing it, not necessarily to Florida, but to other nonpartisan campaigns in other states. And so I think that tomorrow is the send date for all of us. We want to, it goes one day out, because this has been shown to make a difference in getting people out to vote by 3%. And 3% is a lot.
That is really significant. Yeah.
And I think the total is more than 20,000 nationally we're sending tomorrow.
That's
So
amazing.
it's amazing. And I feel like, it makes you feel good that you've done something. And just encourage them to go out and do their civic duty. I feel it's a civic duty, but they're in, and they're usually low frequency voters. They're registered,
Right.
but they don't always vote. So hopefully we're going to make an impact. And I keep telling them, a right to vote was so hard fought that I want to honor that struggle in every election.
Yeah.
That
I was telling Eric that this morning I actually did my first phone banking for a political campaign. I've never done that before, but I did that this morning, and we were calling into North Carolina, another important battleground state, and it's really interesting to talk to people, to get their, of course there were a lot of hangups, but the people I did speak to, most of them were, friendly. A lot of people telling me that they're about to go in and vote. They're doing early voting in North Carolina. So I talked to one man who said, you called me, I'm on my way. I'm like, I'm going there right now. So anyway, it was a neat experience.
Right.
I was a little nervous about beforehand, but I'm glad I did it.
And next week, if anybody's watching who's in NCJW, Greater Long Beach and West Orange County, we expanded our name because we realized not all our members live in Long Beach. We are going to call all of our members next week to make sure that they have everything in place to vote, or have voted already, or will vote, and have a plan where and how to do it. So we're taking that on next week.
Yeah, and I know the Temple is going to be doing the same thing. The Reform Movement has a sort of a get out and vote campaign, and again, not taking sides, just encouraging everybody to take that personal responsibility and know that your vote matters, and no matter what political side you stand on, the only way to get your voice heard is really to get out.
Absolutely. And you can't fetch if you don't vote.
Absolutely.
Amen.
That should be a slogan somewhere, right? It's
Yes. I can see it now.
One of those lawn signs that everyone's having up right now. It's
right.
So.
We should totally have that made, Eric. I like it, for the front of the temple.
All right. I copyright it right now.
Okay.
Everyone, if there's any, we'll split the proceeds, and we'll donate them all.
Yeah.
So.
In my spare time before COVID, I also tutor high school students in Spanish, but I'm trying to see if I can help out virtually, but yeah, I found I wanted to keep my language skills up. And that's also why I trained at MOLA, at the Museum of Latin American Art, because I have to tell you, art was not my area necessarily. Language and literature were. And I've learned a lot about that area. I mean, talk about, the difference between working and retirement for me. I can choose what I want.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a paycheck.
No paycheck, no money, but I can choose. So I chose my Jewish, Paneor, and I chose Mola, and I chose NCJW, and they have kept me very busy, all three areas, and I've learned an awful lot because I was not an art major. I took one art class in college, happened to be in Madrid because the Prado is there.
Uh-huh.
And I was fortunate enough to be able to have a class in the museum, which was wonderful. But, Latin American art, zero, I mean, I didn't know very much. And I have learned so very much. And you know that I did a forum on 3 Jewish Latin American artists
Yes.
for Rosh Hashanah.
Mhm.
And it's been an amazing journey, and I hope we get to actually be back in the building at some point in the future.
Yes.
But I've enjoyed that very much.
Yeah. I feel like we could have a whole other conversation just about your involvement at the museum and your experience as a docent and how that came to be
Well, you should know I also was chair of the docent guild there. I mean, in 13 years, I've packed it in, let me tell you. So I have been co-chair and chair of the docent guild, and I was on the education committee and as well for a number of years, and the education resource team. So yeah, I mean, no moss.
Sharon, do we have any questions from those who are watching at home, or just any well wishes for Linda?
Yeah,
or?
people are just really, appreciative of your hard work. We've got, Ruth Cooperman is talking about how she's writing her own letters for Vote Forward right now, as we speak. Ilse Wolf is saying her letters are already mailed. Your sister Dale is watching, and she says hello. She says, "You go, girl." So lots of fans out there, and I know that we are, we were so happy when you decided to join Temple Israel, and we're, honored to count you amongst our own membership. And whenever you have a spare moment in your very busy schedule, we always.
Well, I've already been asked, and I said, I need, just for this year of being immediate past president, I need a little bit of breathing space.
Sure.
There's a gospel tune called "Wading Through the Waters." You know that song?
I don't know if I know that one.
Wading through the water.
My theme is
I'm saying so. That's as good as I can.
through the papers.
Mm.
With the loss of my sister, it became very clear to me that I needed to do some cleanup, because I know that my children will not value what I do necessarily. And I have 6 bins of papers and other things that I need to go through. And this whole COVID thing makes you think too, none of us knows the time we're given. And I really should turn my attention to some of the things I need to do here.
Right.
So I am trying. I got a good start, and then I ran out of it's not energy but interest. And so I need to go back to that a little bit. But yeah, I have always enjoyed Joys of Jewish Learning, and I think that's really, I told Bobby Horowitz that that's where my heart is, truly.
It's really a special program we offer here at the Temple.
And I've been a guest many times before I remember. and so yeah, but I need a little time
Yes.
to kind of catch my breath and all that. And I'm doing a lot of stuff by Zoom. I'm in 3 OSHA classes at the current time, and then we have so many things that are offered to us. I've been on the Community Scholars Program programming. There was a wonderful course on Heschel, the Heschel School in New York. The guy that runs it and who was with Heschel and Martin Luther King. And so there's so many things, but my back, I have to be more judicious.
You have to get a stand-up desk is what you have to do. So
Yeah, that would help, wouldn't it? That would help. Well, I'm older than both of you, probably put together almost.
I think so.
Yeah.
And the physicality of age it doesn't yield very often.
Linda, it's been a pleasure having you on our show. You said you've watched it a couple of times, so we conclude our time with our guests by asking a series of questions that came actually from the Actors Studio, from James Lipton used to ask his guests. And we just like to use it as a fun way to bring things to a close. And so I have those questions. I'm gonna throw them out to you, and please feel free to answer as what comes to your mind. You got to, if you don't give an answer, we're going to answer it for you. So all right. So the first question is, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word. Hispanophile.
Oh, Hispanophile, okay.
What's your least favorite word?
Technology.
What sound or noise do you love?
Anything musical.
We can talk at another time also about what that means to you. What is your favorite type of music? Well, I'd like to hear more. What sound or noise do you hate?
Car alarms.
That's a bad one.
So you've done a lot as a career. What profession other than what you did would you either like to attempt or would you have liked to attempt?
Well, now that I know a lot about art, maybe I would have liked to be an artist, but I have no talent.
Talent is all about, it's,
Yeah.
if you're you could splatter paint on a wall and
I appreciate art, but I have that much.
And follow up to that is, what profession would you definitely not like to do?
Medical. My dad was a doctor and we worked in his office as teenagers. And I learned how to drop injections and take the old-fashioned kind of x-rays, tipping them and filing. We were receptionists. That's not my calling.
And the last question is, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
2 words. In English, well done. In Spanish, bien hecho.
It gives me the chills. Yeah. Well, it seems like you are getting a job done very well while you're here on Earth with all of us. So really, on behalf of this community, we want to thank you for your continued efforts. And we know you've got a lot more to accomplish over the years to come. And we look forward to sharing the journey with you.
Yeah, and I look forward, now that I'm official.
Yes.
in Temple Israel, because one feels, we've talked about this before, several of us, we feel the warmth. We know you care for one another. And that's important. Not that Penaor didn't have that too, but we were a smaller group. And, you know, I said we were, I always described us as a ragtag group of wandering Jews. Because we were all looking for spirituality and support one another in that very much. And in fact, several of us would come to HaNefesh services. And so, but one can feel the Temple Israel community is one where there's a lot of love and concern for one another. And I have to say, I like the name of the new rabbi.
Yes.
No relation, even with the Indiana connection, but
No,
no
we
relation.
haven't explored it exactly, but no, I don't think so. Although I know the former congregation a little bit. Indianapolis was 2 hours away, but yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, for being a part of the show, and agreeing to come on. It was really a delightful, can't believe an hour has gone by already. You know, but it was really, really wonderful. And we encourage everybody out there. We have Tot Shabbat. If you have friends with little ones, or if you have little ones, the Rabbi and Cantor are about to start a Tot Shabbat service at 5 o'clock. So we hope people can join for that. And then our regular Shabbat services begin at 6 o'clock. And everything we do at Temple Israel continues through the weekend and into next week and everything else. So
you guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Linda. And we will see you again all next week. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Have a great weekend.